little shake. Hello, everybody. I'm going to give you some time to tune in because it is the Become Your Magic Power Hour, where we meet every Monday through Friday from 7 to 8 p.m. in order to what? To get a refill on what? On who we are, where we going, what we desire. Today is a very good topic, so I'm going to give some time for everybody to get on. Picking up the broken pieces. Oh my goodness. Yeah. And I forgot my water. Since we're giving time for people to still get one, I'm going to run and get my water. Okay. Some cold water, y'all. Hello, like, share. This is the beginning of the Power Hour. I'm going to give some time because I got some new news because I am organizing my life. I'm not going to totally wipe out the Power Hour, but so that I can make sure that I can get this last quarter done right, I'm going to move the Power Hour starting next week back to 12 p.m. Because by this time in the evening, you got the kids, I normally do my Bling Boutique, and I haven't been able to do that because I'm juggling too much. So in order to do everything and get it all done, see I'm out of breath? That's why I'm exercising. Hey, Vivian, how you doing, beautiful? Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for being on time, honey. Thank you for showing up. But, oh, my goodness, can you see how out of breath I am? That is why I'm on that TLC, honey. For those of you that don't know, the reason why she has the energy to do 1,000,001 things in order to what? Become her own magic is because I've been taking this TLCC. I've been on my vitamins. I've been on my, my CBD. And it has kept me relaxed. It has kept me calm. But I'm still learning to get my winner, right? To run all the way downstairs, come back up, and be ready to talk. Come on. So I'm being intentional because in order to become your magic, you have to really look at your whole life with a fine-tooth comb, right? You got to decide in what areas of my life do I want to increase and improve, and how can I create a plan in order to do that? I mean, that's what life is all about, devising plans that are really going to help you show up in the way that you want, the way you desire, the way you see yourself. And so life can be super, super, super difficult trying to decide what does that plan look like? How do I make that work? You know what I mean? And so that's what the journey is all about. It's about understanding that life is but a plan that we get to decide. The older we get, the more we get to decide how our life works out by creating a structure, creating a nice plan. So we're 4 minutes in. As I often say, this is the time to celebrate you. So Vivian, first of all, I see you are here. I see somebody else is on. Please let me know who you are. Because I am broadcasting in three different platforms of mine, which is Facebook. It's on my Facebook profile. So if you're following Precious Paulin, you're seeing me there. You may also be following me on my I Choose Me Bling Boutique. If you guys are not a member of the I Choose Me Bling Boutique, you will notice that if you are in the I Choose Me Bling Boutique, you do not have the ability to share, because that is my VIP group. That is the group that finds out what is coming out before it even hits the site. If it even hits the site, I'm about to be going live in there, creating clothes, having one-of-a-kind items that you can only get out of that boutique. So if you are not a member of I Choose Me Bling Boutique, please join that group, so that in the near future, actually before next week, I'm going to be in that group as well every day, as often as I can, on live. The third place that I do my live power hour from Monday through Friday, which is 7 to 8, but starting next week, it will go to noon. 12 noon, that's what time I'll do the power hour, in order to fit all the other different things that I have to add to this last 90 days. So as you know, we are going into the last quarter of 2020. This is where we get the opportunity to decide exactly where we want to be at the end of this year, heading into 2021. I understand that the pandemic took majority of people 2020 if you looked at it in the wrong way. Because the way to have looked at 2020 is to figure out, why did God isolate me? What should I be paying attention to, so that I can nurture it, take care of it, grow it, in order to be great when we move into the next season, right? Because the next season is us actually developing the plans in which we laid the foundation in 2020. This is the beginning of the next decade of our life. And if you think about the last decade of your life, you have to ask yourself, how have I been actually planning the last 10 years? And so I had an amazing perspective with the Paul and Brunch. It's a new event that me and my husband came together to do. If everybody knows that Chef Ron is an amazing, amazing cook. And we know that I'm an amazing, amazing speaker. He as well is an amazing speaker. And so we have decided to collaborate on more levels of the dream team that we are. So we have perspective with the Paul and Sunday brunches, in which we only have 16 tickets per Sunday. The theme changes every week, but it is bottomless mimosas, shrimp and grits, chicken and grits, and fish and shrimp and grits, chicken and waffles, and fish and grits. And so anyway, what I was going to say is that as we started that, and I was thinking about us having the ability to decide, what do we want the rest of our life to look like? What do we want the rest of our quarter to look like? What are those things that we desire? And so when I began at that brunch this past Sunday, when I began to sit down and we had the conversation with the ladies that came, it's also unisex, so it's not just for women. But when we began to talk about what it is that we desire, I thought it was important for us to think about where we have been over the last 10 years of our life, right? Because to really pay attention to what has transpired, how much you were conscious of the decisions that got made over the last 10 years, and then after seeing how life happens when you're least expected, right? When you look back, you think, wow, what did I plan over the last 10 years and what did I execute, right? Because life is about picking up the broken pieces, which is what the topic is today. We are 9 minutes in, so I'm getting closer to giving y'all the topic. But it's about us really understanding that how we show up, how we see ourselves, how we're willing to pick up the things that have broken us in life in order to pour into each other instead of spill all over the place. And so becoming your magic is taking those moments and making them into abracadabra, taking those moments in which you couldn't see what you imagine, when the other people that were watching couldn't imagine that you could create what you said as the magician you could create, what you believe as the magician of your life, what you can manifest. And so every time you are able to show up in your light, every time you are able to show up in your gift, every time you're able to show up past those traumas, past those situations that have broken you, that have cracked you, that have left you feeling isolated, right? Unworthy. I mean, this whole thing in the world that we're dealing with is really about us not being comfortable with what we went through and letting go of the things that we had to deal with in order to show up as we are today. And so being able to pick up those pieces, being able to understand that it was necessary, that you are worth the price of admission is what it's all about. Just juggling your family pressures makes you a superwoman already in my eyes. Thank you, my love. Honey, I'm glad you see. I'm about to turn on this fan because I am feeling warm. This weather is, you wake up and it's super hot. You go to bed, it's super cold. So before I go on the topic, I've been talking, blabbering. Like I said, it's so easy to think. So you're thinking about the last decade, right, Vivian? Just think about it. I can see your comments. I'm so excited, Vivian, because yesterday I saw all your comments after the fact. I don't know why. Sometimes all of my stuff in me looking doesn't come up. So by the time I went back and I see my group posts and in this one, and they all were separate, and I would see different comments. I was like, oh my God, I would have loved to have the conversation with Vivian. And so, Vivian, I see you are asking last decade, what happened to me in the last decade? I think you will be astonished at how much can take place in 10 years and how fast 10 years can go. I was thinking 10 years ago, I was about to give birth to twins. Why? Because they will be, or actually, they may 10 years ago, I wasn't about to give birth because they are turning 11 in December. So they would have already been here 10 years ago from today, right? And I guess a couple of months, right? Because you're pregnant for 9 months. We're what? October, November, 2 months. So what are they? A month old? Anyway, 10 years ago, honey, she was starting a life with 5 kids. 10 years ago, Precious had 4 kids, all under the age of 4. I had I have 5 altogether, but I always think about it after the fact when I do the math that, oh my God, I had 10 kids under 4 at the same time. So I had a 4-year-old, a 2-year-old, and the twins were born 10 years ago to this date. And so I think about how much they've grown over the last 10 years, right? How much they evolve. I think about how unprepared I was for the moment when I found out that we were pregnant with twins. Let me tell you something. Me and my husband have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 kids, and I can honestly say that we never sat down and planned near one of them, right? One before we got married. And then we were married for at least 3 years, almost 4 years before we got pregnant again, right? And so after that, it seemed every 2 years we were getting pregnant. 4 years, Essence is 4 years older than the rest. But when I thought about 10 years ago, I thought about that. I created a vision board 8 years ago, which had Start the I Choose Me movement. Come on now. I wanted to inspire women into a relationship to fall in love with themselves, right? I wanted them to build their self-esteem. And so I put on my vision board, I wanted to start a I Choose Me # No More Excuses movement. I wanted to get in shape. I did say that I had just had twins. I was on number 4 and 5. And so I'm just thinking about the goals that I just can remember from my vision board that was only 8 years ago. And so when we are moving right now and we are thinking about this last quarter of our life, right? And being able to plan, like really plan for the yeses that we have gotten in this season. Really plan, because in this whole hour is teaching us and basically me explaining to you that you really control your destiny, right? You really are your own magic, right? When they say black girl magic or just special magical powers, right? What does magic mean? It's a supernatural force. And to become your magic is to become your own supernatural force, meaning that I'm not waiting for anybody to come in and help me see just how I can change today into tomorrow or how I can turn that thing around, right? Because of the evidence of what I went through, being in relationship with myself, right? Knowing what it took in order for me to be who and where I am today, knowing what it took in order for me to show up in this magnitude, I recognize how magical I am, right? That's what the whole point is, for you to recognize by creating visions, creating plans, and then like implementing those plans so that you can really see just how powerful you are when you decide that this is what I want and you go after it. But today, because we're now in the 15-minute mark, and I still never shared the live like I was planning on doing. But since we're in the 15-minute mark, the point, today's topic is picking up your broken pieces, right? Understanding that picking up those broken pieces allow you to pour instead of spill. And do we understand what it means to spill? Or first of all, what it means to be broken, right? Broken is a thing when you're complete, right? Anything that is whole and maybe it has been dropped, right? Meaning that it took a hit that it wasn't prepared to take, that couldn't take the capacity of the vessel, right? And so it broke. And when it broke, it went into pieces. And so in life, we tend to walk through life broken, right? Because of the traumatic experience we have endured. We tend to walk through life broken because of those seeds of thought that we continue to nurture. We continue to take care of. We continue to give power, right? Because you give power to anything you begin to believe in. Anything you think about and you begin to believe in, you bring power to it. So life is about understanding that the power that is you is by changing those things that you desire and putting forth that same energy that we put into negative into the positive form, right? And so when we find that things have disappointed us, we can in that moment choose the emotion and the energy of the conclusion of where we want to be. We can distract our minds with, I would say, intentional practices and habits that are going to get us to our deadline. So when I put on my vision board, okay, I want to start a movement, right? I had to decide, how do I pick up those broken pieces, right? How do I get over those areas of shame? My biggest shame was being molested. That was a huge shame of mine, right? I didn't want to share it. And it wasn't a shame in the way that it was, well, I guess it was a whole lot of different shames, right? You don't want people to judge you. You don't want people to judge the other people. You don't want people to feel sorry for you, right? You don't want no pity party. You don't want people to put it against you, right? When you are feeling in those low places, you don't want anybody to remind you of that, right? And so holding our secrets, we think it protects us, and it does at times. It absolutely does at times. But in order to basically pick up those pieces, you have to get into the places and the positionings where you allow those storylines to empower you, right? And so the broken pieces started as your assignment. The broken pieces were the very beginning to your assignment, right? And so God said, I was sending you here because you are on assignment, and everything you go through is for somebody else. Everything that every place that I'm sending you to, every thing that I'm about to take you through, and that breaking is to get the essence of who you were created to be, right? And so I'm going to break you in certain instances because it is what is going to strengthen you, to develop you, and to give you the confidence you need in order to be the answer or the solution to who you have been called to be. So now you understand that those valley moments was the actual the foundation of your promises, right? And it was actually the roadmap, right? That is the dash, right? That roadmap to your destiny are those low moments. The reason why I know is in order to get to the top of a mountain, you got to go through a valley. And if we would just look at life and understand that life is always going to imitate spirit, then we can begin to start to look at the beauty in life and start to apply it so that those seeds of thought can manifest in ways that give us those abracadabra moments to just get up, right? That gives us those abracadabra moments to just believe, that gives us those abracadabra moments to realize just how magical we are, that we are that supernatural force. And so when I sat down and I began to think about the things that I put on my vision board, and I realized, which is how I got to the concept of me saying, picking up your broken pieces and understanding that when you are brave enough to know that those things that you went through is what makes you so amazing, makes you so powerful, then you begin to remove the shame and get in your lane. You know how I said remove the shame and get in your lane? I was so gifted in poetry. I was gifted in being able to speak to people who were always older than me, right? And being able to speak right into their lives, right? But from a wisdom standpoint, I always say it was the gift that God gave me, the gift for me to write empathetic poetry, for me to hear somebody and their energy, or be in a room with somebody and their energy fall on me like the dew in the morning. And I write this poem, which is bigger than me, as I said, because 90% of my poems I've never experienced, never went through, is just because I came in contact with somebody in their emotional state, right? And it brought forth a universal poem because we all suffer in silence, almost on the same levels, right? Me Too movement, I love to bring the Me Too movement up because it took off. You know why it took off? Because somebody was courageous enough to pick up their broken pieces, allow their mess to age in order to bring forth a message so that they can stop spilling and begin to pour. So for me, to pour is to be intentional about the vessel that is you, right? To spill is to allow yourself to stay broken, right? Stay in those valley moments and never move up. Because if I break you and I keep you level, and I never allow you to pick up those pieces, and you never allow yourself to see who it is you are, and you stay cracked and you stay in that space of not feeling enough, then the essence of you begins to seep out and you spill around, meaning not giving an intentional understanding to how you show up in a room. And that's how that comes. They say sometimes hurt people. Think about the pandemic, right? The pandemic is so huge is because unconsciously people have been infecting each other, right? Not even knowing that they are carrying something that can actually be detrimental to somebody else who comes in contact with you, right? Not actually realizing how detrimental it is for somebody who you come in contact with. So because I am handling it good, right? Because I don't look like my story, because you don't know maybe we can go on everybody's story, right? Because maybe you don't know I've been molested. Maybe because you don't know why somebody's been abused, right? Maybe because you don't know that they've been abandoned. So you don't understand what is the core of how they move, why they act the way they act, right? And so the beginning, my husband never understood why I felt the need to never let anybody watch my kids. I sacrificed being somebody that went out and did everything. My whole life was them. Why? Because of those scars, right? And so because I went through a traumatic situation, it became my perspective. It became the way I saw life, right? And I created the shield. Not that it was a negative thing. Maybe it was intended. Maybe God set me that way in order for me to become the mother that I became. And because I picked up those broken pieces, I did not just hurt people with it, but I was able to heal through it as I actually did a different protection, right? Because I know for sure that had I not experienced molestation as a child, right, I think that I would have been a little bit maybe more okay with having kids and saying, I'm going to, take them to daycare and stuff. It was so, I didn't want kids in the beginning. I never wanted kids, but I did things that created kids. So I got what I wanted, even though, see what I'm saying? You see how we know what we don't want, but we take action steps that may stop us from doing what we need to do, right? So it's the same concept, right? So I could say I didn't want no kids, but I sure was doing the thing that makes kids. So did you really not want, you know what I mean? So unconsciously, we tell ourselves what we're not planning to, and we just go through life and let life happen. And sometimes that's the best gift that can ever happen to us, because had I been stuck in that valley, had I took control over that plan and I lost myself in life, then God couldn't have shown me what a gift it was to have kids. I was so scared about what could happen, you know, what I could miss, what could go wrong, that I never got to enjoy what could go right. And I think that when we don't pick up our broken pieces, we eliminate ourselves from showing up, because we don't really know what can go right. Why don't we know what can go right? Because we don't allow ourselves to experience it going right. We don't choose to create the picture of it going right. And so because through that situation, right, through my life, I was able to have my kids and love on them and see them. And then I see what my dreams and desires and how I evolved. I realized that it was all for me, that the who may kill me, but the what will heal me. So when I began to think about all these different things that God has given me and all the different things that I've learned through my 40 years of living, it's why I show up and I say how magical you are, right? It's why I show up and I say that you can get past any situation. Is why I show up and I say that you have the power to turn that thing around. You have the power to really show up in your assignment by embracing those things that you cannot change. Because if you can figure out what it was teaching me and what I was to learn, then you can figure out beyond your roles and titles what you came to do, what makes you one of a kind. And what makes you one of a kind is how you, I guess, how you show up after that thing happens to you, right? You know, when you say, I'm so glad, or you see people, you say, you don't look like your story, right? When I begin to tell my story, people are like, oh, really? All of that? Yeah. It's only because I got the opportunity to what? Keep on going. It's only because I gave time for the story to develop. I assure you that even 10 years ago, I wouldn't have had the confidence that I have today. Why? Because I wouldn't have had the evidence of how I can show up, of how powerful, you know, you can become, right? Let me see. I see we got some things going on, so I don't want to miss. Vivian, I see you said, I didn't believe at one time you can control your own destiny. I thought I just had bad luck. And I mean, we all do. You know why we always think that we have bad luck? Because we just don't realize just how much we control everything with our thoughts. Our bad luck is our ability to introduce those bad thinking habits, those bad opinions of other people who we maybe watch, right? Sometimes all of our thoughts are not that somebody put in us. A lot of our thoughts are in our CNA, right? Growing up, seeing people, right? Watching how they deal with stuff, and you unconsciously become that person, right? You unconsciously tend to take on characteristics and behaviors that you never even would have done had you not seen it, right? And so your kids talk like you and they walk like you, and they can one day become you, because while they don't even realize they're listening to you, they are really watching you more than they're hearing you, right? Because it's an action. And so we action all our things. And so you start to think, what kind of action steps does one take to get to the point? That's why I love when God gave me that, the yes. Oh my God. It has single-handedly changed the last month of my life and how I show up and how I get frustrated about, okay, what do I have to do? We are in a pandemic. We are our financial stability, right? I can't do events like I was doing. I can't do all these things. So now it's like you have to transform how you think. But I had to recognize that what does it mean to get the yes? So I know, like I said, when I come here, it's because I got this epiphany for my own self. And I'm like, it's helping me. it's helping me, so I know it's going to help you. And so getting the yes, just thinking about it in the different concept of what it means to get a yes, and that yes does not mean that is instantly something done. It means that it is permission to move forward on the next step. Somebody asks you to marry them and you say yes, you're not instantly married. There are action steps that must take place before you get to actually committing to the yes, right? So the yes is the permission for, right? And then the rest of the process is you figuring out, okay, the answer is yes, so now what do I have to do? And so if grandma says yes, you can have a banana, grandma's not going to stop what she's doing when you interrupt her to ask for a banana, right? You're going to just go get what you asked for. And then you revert back to the point where we ask for what we see. We ask for what we believe. We wait for the things that we think we deserve. And so getting in relationship with yourself will allow you to start to realize just how much you deserve the desires of your heart. Once I believe I deserve it, have you ever seen a person that thought that they deserve something? They walk with a different type of confidence, right? Their soul's posture is in the right position. Their attitude is always with gratitude, right? Because they understand that they get to dictate what that looks like. They understand that they get to create whatever it is that they're looking for. And so we got to understand that how we move, what we believe we deserve, and how we show up in that is how we create the life of our dreams. It's how we realize that it is no such thing as bad luck. We embrace an idea that something outside of ourselves has more control over our destiny. The weather, the bad news, right? And sometimes we get so used to it that we sit and we expect it. We kind of plant it into the world, right? This ain't going to go right. Life never goes right. Instead of choosing to think about all the moments that went right. Instead of focusing on what went wrong, which makes you believe that you have bad luck. You don't have bad luck, honey. You have an amazing luck. You just have to recognize that you control your magic. You control your luck. You decide what that looks like. Nobody can come in and change your luck. It can be an inconvenience to where you're going, but the luck belongs to you because it is what you believe to be so. It's what you expect. And so when I began to move with an expectancy of what I believe I deserve, because I decided to add up the cost to what I've already paid to be in this position, the times that I got up, the times that I got over it, the times that I forgave, the times that I walked away, the times that I let it go, you know, the times that I just stood up in my story, even though I wanted to stay cuddled up in the corner and I got up anyway. That is the magic that is us. That is the way we pick up those broken pieces, by recognizing that it's not what you go through, but what you grow through that dictates who you will become, because you have the power to intentionally pour yourself into people. Pour yourself into every situation, right? To be intentional about the infection that you carry because you did your work. You got over those situations. You didn't allow somebody else to pay for yesterday's mistakes, right? And so when we forgive those moments and we forgive those situations and we realize that it is because of those things that we have the power to basically endure to the end point, right? Because if we don't go through nothing, it's like we don't work ourselves out. And so picking up those broken pieces is working out that spiritual muscle. Yes, God, he said, I know I broke you, but I broke you to make you. I broke you so that you can actually understand just how strong you are, just how powerful you are, just how lucky you are that I gave you breath. I gave you breath because you are my good luck charm. And the minute you know your magic, the more you'll sprinkle that all over. And when people see you, they'll feel lucky for you to be in their presence. Why? Because you have multiplied and magnified that God piece in a way that makes people see you as magic, especially if they know what you've been through. So we try to hide the story, but that story is how God glory. Because those are the moments that people see your magic, when you can be that amazing queen after that story. Vicky, when you think about all the things, Vivian, when you think about Miss Vicky, Vivian, when you think about all the things that you go through and how strong you are today, how could you not wake up every day and be like, oh my God, look at my abracadabra. Look at that smile. Look how supportive you are. Look how much you show up. So even in the midst of the storm, you continue to dance. And if you think that God is not sitting there proud and all he wants you to see is that you got more in you. You got more to develop. You have not been developed into the picture that is you. And even in the darkest of stories, you ever go to art gallery, or you ever see a picture that everything around the picture, it just seems like the scene that just seems desolate and it seems dark, and then you can see a person off in it, that little girl in the picture, that light, that sun ray, that smile, something that brings light to the darkness, right? You are the light in the darkness. And every time you can think about how easy the development of the scenery that was created around you. When you think about the positions that you were put in that made you become that broken vessel. And then you begin to think about what you learned in that moment, right? How strong you became through that moment. Just the confidence that you got to embrace when you got out of that thing. That is the part. Those are the pieces that allow you to be the magical soul piece. That God piece, that print. Oh my God, that soul print that really changes how somebody else shows up. Vivian, using affirmations and forgiveness. Come on now. Forgiveness is the key. Forgiveness is the key. It really is. I can't see this about you. Amazing. You can't see what about me. I'm probably thinking about me saying I didn't want to get, so I was afraid. That's why I want you to know that, like, I didn't just arrive here. I worked to be here. I worked to be here. Nothing is given to us. We decide that we deserve it and we believe in it. We believe in it, yes. So I believe that when I wrote that vision board, that God said yes to everything I wrote. I didn't do the picture. I used words because words are powerful. I let him know what I wanted. And I put on notice that as long as I wrote the vision and made it plain, that it would be so, right? That I would have the blueprint. When people are about to build that house, when people are about to build that business, the first thing they do is sit down and create a blueprint. A blueprint allows you to actually structure exactly what you want. And so what I'm trying to get us to understand, that dream, that vision, that desire, that hope, that belief system, it starts here, right? It starts in a vision. And then you get to create a blueprint to accompany your vision. The first step is figuring out what it is that I want. How do I become that? I become that by understanding that once I pick up those broken pieces, once I choose, I don't care if you got to fake it till you make it. We fake a lot of other things that are unnecessary for us to fake till we make. You know, we say financially sometimes out of our means, getting stuff that we don't need, depending on who you are. Never me, I'm such a tight person, so I'm very frugal. But then, you know, I'm just saying there are so many. My husband would be more of a frugal person than me. We have different personalities. We all have different personalities. But at the end of the day, there are certain things that we sacrifice for. It's certain things that we create We go out of the way to create that dream that we have, but yet we don't sacrifice enough for ourselves. We don't sacrifice enough for who we need to be through those situations. Because once you begin to see you, once you begin to show up in you, once you begin to operate in that gift, you change the trajectory of your life. And most importantly, you change who you are when you pick up those pieces. When you understand that you really control it. What was I about to say? Can't trust anyone. A lot of us are like that. A lot of us are like that. And it's only because of what we've been through. It's only because of what we've endured, right? And what stops us from moving forward is our inability to trust, to get over what somebody else did, right? And so our motto for I Choose Me is I pledge to embrace who I am today, love who I was yesterday, and inspire who I will become tomorrow. Because until I love me today, I can't get over yesterday, which means I can never move into the future. Because in order for me to get to the past, I mean, not to the past, in order for me to get to the future, I must first be present by letting go of the past. Because if I'm stuck in yesterday, I can never be in today, meaning I can never move to tomorrow. Because in order to get to tomorrow, I must first be present. And being the gift is being present in the now, right? Being present in whatever moment I'm in, embracing that what it took was necessary, understanding that that process was what was required for you to be who God hired for the assignment, right? And so that process was required for the position you have been hired to perform, to perform in your assignment. That's what it all was about. So blocking out common sense, period. We all do it. True, beautiful children. Thank you. I'm so happy and proud that God knew more about me than I knew about myself. I understood why I went through what I went through. I understood why he allowed me to create certain characteristics that I wouldn't have had I not been through the life I've been. So when you actually let go of the pain of your past and really sit down and figure out, well, what did I gain from my past, right? When I realized the gain in my past, it was easier for me to choose joy, choose that that happened for a reason, except, right? Because to be mad at the people who did it is to be mad at God, because God knew my end before my beginning. And he knew what it required for me to be who I was called to be, who I raised my hand before I got down here and said, I want to take on that position. I want to be this person. And so God knew that you said yes a long time ago. And I'm going to have to process you through your yes. And the minute you can remember the conversations that we had, the minute you can see that I took you that way so that you can grab onto your power, grab onto your strength, understand I am the source, realize that I need you to help somebody else, to become empathetic, because you won't go through what everybody else went through, but because I took you through some things, you'll have a sense of empathy to relate to somebody else's story. And so it's so much that's involved in you picking up those broken pieces. It's so much that's involved in you recognizing that thing, that very special part that you went through, those valley moments, is what makes you that special, one-of-a-kind gift, that special supernatural force that can change the whole world, that can brighten up a room with your light. Do you get that? I mean, I hope you guys are getting that. I hope you are feeling it like I'm meaning it, because I'm meaning that idea from my core. Never been a true statement there. We tend to become what we see. I say it's not in your DNA, it's in your CNA, SEENA. And we are what we see, what we believe, right? The conditions, and that some of the things that we see, they definitely become our seeds of thought. They definitely become our seeds of thought. And those broken places that we claim shame from are actually the reason why God picked us. Look at my shirt that I'm wearing. I'm telling you guys, you can get this on a sweater, a V-neck. It don't have to be a tank. But it says, don't throw my past in my face, because I've been working undercover for God. That's what it's about, to pick up the broken pieces, to realize that the journey that you've been on is an undercover journey for you to figure out who you were meant to change world, life, right? Overstand them, right? Overstand their concept because of what it is you have endured. And so when I pick up those pieces, because I'm not allowing the things that happen to me to keep me bound, right? To keep me stuck, to keep me on pause, unable to run into my destiny, unable to create the dream that I have for myself. I have to recognize that I can move, I can go, I can grow. If I can see that once I pick up those pieces, once I leave the pain and pick up the power, then I can be intentional and I begin to pour into people's lives instead of spilling all over them. You know, when something spills all over, it's like you didn't see it coming. You know, it messes up. You're not prepared for it. But when something is poured in, you get a vessel and you are intentional and you sit it there and you take the time to do or be. Or it's just an intentional act to pour. And it's an unintentional act to spill. It's an accident. And you are not an accident. What God took you through was not an accident. It was because you had to be the light in somebody's darkness. You had to help somebody find their switch. And so you are not an accident. You were made on purpose and purpose. And so those things that we go through are the proof, is the proof of just how amazing we are, just how necessary we are, and how it's all about us recognizing that when I begin to realize that I'm on purpose, then I pull myself together. I figure out what is the substance that is inside of me, right? What is the value that has been created through my vessel, my being carrying these situations? How did I strengthen through that story? And now that I've realized how strong I am, I realize the power and the substance that's in this vessel. Now that I have become whole again, I have the power to pour into people's life because I recognize that thing is why I am who I am. And so that's when I recognize it is no longer about it being luck. It's about me becoming my magic. It's about me changing all of those moments into abracadabra moments where people look at me amazed at what God can do when you trust him, by trusting you, by trusting your instinct, by trusting your vision, by not allowing people to kidnap who you were created to be. Because every time you take seeds of thought that take away from you, take away from what you already paid for, right? Rob you of what you already added up in the bank. Rob you up of all your time and investment, because time is money and investment is money of time, right? Because if time equals money, the time spent, all investments all equate to time, all money equates to time. And so the time you have served in the positions that broke you is the reason why you're so valuable, the substance in which you carry. And so because I know that those broken moments was for me to what? Figure out just how powerful my essence is, so that I won't just go around spilling it, but that I would take care of it, that I would spread it around like anointing oil. Can you imagine that you have been anointed for what you've been through, that you have been anointed to pour that who you are in the midst of people's situations, when all you was just it is a gift that is you. You know, all you is that anointing that comes and heals. You're a healer. You're a communicator. You're a lover. You are light. And so to be anointed is to say that this oil, the substance in which has been formed through all of the things that I've been through to date, Those unlucky moments that I turned into abracadabra experiences is why I decided that I will no longer allow myself to be broken, but instead I will pick up those broken pieces in order to intentionally pour into other people's cup, to give them more. Why? Because I know I have it. Why do I know I have it? Because we went through what we went through. And so it's bigger than us. It's bigger than us. Hey, Brittany. Hey, my love. Becoming a wet blanket. Come on now. Come on now. Come on now. I'm trying to catch these comments because I got a poem for you guys today. And we are ready at 49. Can you believe I can talk, can I? Minutes, girl. Do you know what a conference is like? I'm about to start dropping my t-shirt of the month with a message behind a message, and you'll be able to get the t-shirt and the message, and it'll be a private message. And then but I'm gonna break down so many different. I just can't wait for all the stuff I'm thinking about. That's amazing about you. You've been given what you asked for. Come on now. You know what? I wouldn't say I've been given what I asked for, but I will say I've been given what I work for. And that's why I want people to understand that you are your magic, because you're either working or waiting. And if you were here on the first week, we understand what it means to wait and what it means to work. And so if I ask my grandma, can I have a banana? Or if you go to God and ask him for something and he says yes, and you sit there and you wait for him to find a time to go get it, then you're waiting. And who knows the level of your importance? Because if grandma's on an important call, or God is dealing with somebody who is praying about their kid that may be on the borderline of losing, come with a dream. Had you been in other things, do you think it's important for him to stop what he's doing or what grandma's dealing with for your desire? When certain things we could do ourselves, certain things don't require prayer. It requires that we get in action for our attraction. And the reason that we haven't evolved or gotten the evidence of what we can have is because we're sitting there waiting for somebody to give us what we want, when it's about us going to get what we asked for. And so when I asked, it was about saying, okay, grandma's busy. Now, I could wait for her to finish what she's doing, to go over there and get me the banana. But she said yes, that I can go have it. So I'm going to go treat myself. I'm going to go back to make life easier on her and go to my yes. Same difference. So every time I got a dream, I didn't just write it on a board. I sat down and figure out action steps. Just like I said, right now, I had the desire to do this power hour. This is the third week of the power hour. So this is day, Day 11, day 12, because it's Tuesday. It could not be day 12 and start if I just decided I wanted to know that, yeah, God, I see you telling me to do the Become Your Magic Power Hour. What should I do, right? And he said, I prayed about it. I'm like, I think this is what I want to do at the end of it. This is what I feel like I want to do. I want to make a show called Becoming Your Magic Abracadabra, because I was talking to my husband and it just came, right? But because I didn't just ask God for it, because I decided to make a flyer, because I decided to learn a program, because I decided to study, because I decided to pick a time to show up, right? It's manifested. Because I decided to do I Choose Me. Because I decided to hire somebody to create the logo of my vision, right? Because I decided to own it before I bought it out, which is why it has on it. Can nobody do this? This belongs to me. Because I had vision enough and study. I didn't have money. Oh God, I didn't have money. But I had YouTube University, and I had access to certain people, and I had conversations. And I'm going to tell you, certain access taught me to invest in myself. For a long time, I was always giving free information, and I expect people to give free information to me. I got in my feelings when people was charging me for every freaking thing. But I had to learn to invest in myself. That's a lesson I had to learn in 2019, right? So what I took personal, because I expected somebody to be something else to me, I had to accept that I have to be what I want to myself, right? I have to show as I want for myself. I have to be intentional about what I desire and what I'm willing to pay for what I want or what I'm willing to learn, right? To have my own power, to be in my own positioning. Because I said a long time ago, Mama O, Oprah Winfrey, I call her Mama O, one day she will interview me. But because I stopped to figure out that God made me just as special, right? And that she just was the inspiration that allowed me to show up, even though I never met her, I realized that I get to be who I decide to be, and then you get to inspire somebody else in the same magnitude. And so what is it that you want? What is it that you want to do? And who is it that you are, that you can understand that you are your magic? You got to learn to invest in yourself. You got to learn to believe in yourself. And one by one, I'm learning a new thing every single day because it is a process. That took a long time for me to see because I was blaming everyone else. And we play the blame game, right? And the reason why we play the blame game because we don't want to take control of our emotional inability to control how we react. And so we blame people for what we allow to happen to us. We blame people because we wish that they had done different. Everybody does it at the best capacity that they can, right? And so once you recognize that their inability was structuring the strengths in you, right? And so how people didn't show up or what they didn't do was God's gift in a place that he wanted you to be empathetic in, that he wanted you to be strengthened in, that he wanted you to become better in, right? Become more evolved in. And so everything we've been through is for us. And so everybody in every situation has their own personal lesson because that's just how perfect God is. Everybody in every situation each has a lesson. So anytime you're in a situation trying to figure out somebody else's lesson, you're already out of order. You got to figure out it for yourself. See, I didn't even realize. Yes, like that. I don't know what Mom was talking about, but I'm sure I missed it. Because I'm slow. I'm slow because I've been speaking. I've been spilling before. Come on now, we all spill. It's so easy to spill. Precious, you do this all day. You do this all day, every day. All day, every day. That's how I know I'm living in my calling, right? Because I could do it in my sleep. I could wake up out my sleep. I started doing this for Rondell because God had been overloading me with so much stuff every day. I'm writing something new. I'm working on 3 different books that I'm about finished. I'm just doing my photo shoot. So it's just like, this is a season to get poured into, and I'm trying to be intentional to pour back out, right? And so I'm like, I'm driving him crazy. So how about I give y'all some free good jewels. Time flies with you guys. Thank you. Absolutely right about that. Faith without works said is another way. Faith without works. Make sure I get all the comments in. What we have here. That attitude sound familiar. I'm telling you, we all got the same attitudes. We all have, we cannot forget our card today. It's 57, so you know we won't be singing our song today. While we're doing a card, as I said before we do our card, because we're heading down to the last 3 minutes, I want to remind you at this time that, you know, as I often say, it would be a disservice to my gift to not offer you this opportunity to bless me with a seed at any capacity, with whatever you would like. I like to explain to you the type of seeds that we can do in order to what? Give back. You know, it's given to receive. So always at the end, I give you the opportunity to give at any capacity that you like. So if you would like to, go to I Choose Me Bling Boutique. If you would like to wear any of the items that you see, this is I Choose Me Original. This is my saying. Precious Paulin. No, won't he do it? My kids think this is my saying, but it's not. It's just what I say. Anyhow, on I Choose Me Bling Boutique, you can sow a seed by maybe buying an item of clothes, something, a mask, anything. Also, you can go to PreciousPaulin.com and get you some tools to ignite your abracadabra. We have books. I have over 4 books. I have a game. I have a calendar. I have programs. Also, you have the opportunity to just sow a seed through Cash App, $P words. $, the letter P, WORDS. You can see it scrolling at the bottom of the screen. You also have the ability to PayPal at Precious P Words at AOL.com. And if you cannot give a financial, 7 is my favorite number. It could be $1. It doesn't matter. But if you want to give a 7, please, 7 is okay. But if you don't have a financial gift to give, I often tell you that a seed can go so far. So a share. You see this little pointer? If you're looking right now and you haven't shared, please share the live. Tell a friend. Invite somebody on. Allow them to be a part of the conversation. Also, a thank you. Vivian, you always reach out to me and say thank you. You always tell me. So many of you guys, let me tell you something. You have inspired me to keep on going. But the point of this giving time is to recognize that a seed of gift is everything. And seeds are not always financial, but it is always intentional. And so we give to receive. And so if you would like to give at any capacity, please, I offer you this time at any time. When you think of me, when God puts on your spirit, send a love offering. And right now, without further ado, before we end up, we're going to find out what is the I am for today. Come on, drum rolls, please. The I am is, I am valuable. You guys cannot tell me that this movement, that this mission is not touched by God, because this is the perfect I am card for what we spoke about today. Picking up your broken pieces. You are valuable. And the way to find out how valuable you are is to pick up your broken pieces, to hold on to the substance that is you, understanding the quality in your essence, understanding that the things that you endured were not in vain. You've been through too much not to write your story down, not to create the picture, not to become your abracadabra, not to allow your mess to age so that you can have a message, not to realize that you are one of a kind. And so your value is because of the things that you've been through. Your value is because of who you are. I am valuable. I want you to say that tonight. Every day we go through a different I am. This is the 10th I am. We missed a day last week. I don't know why I wasn't going. But this is the 10th I am. No, the 11th. This day 12. Sorry. This is the 11th I am. I am valuable. And so I want you to look in the mirror tonight before you go to sleep. And I want you to tell yourself that I am valuable. I want you to remember that it is up to you. Oh my goodness, I can't go off without sharing the poem. Picking Up the Broken Pieces, like I said, is a play that I wrote over 8 years ago that I will be premiering virtually. Oh, thank you, Vivian. Everybody who is on, if you could put I am valuable in there, that would be awesome. Thank you. I love that. But I want to share the poem, Picking Up the Broken Pieces, because when this play that I'm about to do virtually, I'm working on all the kinks. I'm auditioning right now. So if you are interested in auditioning, please send me a message so that you can be a part of the Zoom conversation. So we can get all of that in. But I'm going to do Picking Up the Broken Pieces virtually. And so I want to share this poem. It says, you see, I'm going through life so broken, because I've been shattered in the past. Not sure how I'm going to make it if this pain is sure to last. I've had so many things knock me down and count me out. Then I ask myself this question: is this what my journey is all about? I have left my pieces shattered because of the pain that I hold. And then I tell myself I'm not enough for even God to try to mold. These broken pieces everywhere. I see myself so unclear. Are my mistakes and pains meant to hold me back? Is this the reason my life has fallen off track? What must I do? Where must I go? Does anybody hear me? Does anybody know? Oh, I hear your answer. That is the key. All those broken pieces are what makes up me. I'm only broken because I become prisoner to the test. That in spite of my trials and tribulations, God doesn't love me any less. In fact, he loves me more because he has sustained me until the end of each and every trial, and it is sure to come again. For as long as I am living, he has a purpose for me to fulfill. And everything on your journey is all a part of God's will. Time to pick up the broken pieces of yourself you have shattered around. How can you stand on God's promise if you are laying on the ground? You have so much more ahead of you. So let go of your past. When you take those burdens off your shoulder, you'll start moving oh so fast. I'm picking up those broken pieces, ready to be complete for my journey. Because now that I'm whole again, I can be a walking testimony. And so I want you to know that that's just a little piece of the amazing play that you will be able to get a virtual ticket and see live on Christmas Day. Okay, so that's the goal. Fingers crossed, you guys, that everything comes together. But I figure on Christmas Day, it's virtually. I don't, social distancing. And so when I say that there are so many things that I desire, the reason why my play hasn't happened yet is because I wrote it over 8 years ago, about 9 years ago, and I set it down. And so it's not going to just happen. I have to make it happen, right? And so now that I'm ready, now that I am prepared in my own mind, right, to go forward with the project, now we can move on. But life is about understanding that nothing is just going to happen to you. You got to happen to it. And so that is it. I want to thank you. Remember, our word for the day is I am valuable. Make sure you say that to yourself tonight. Make sure you remind yourself every day. I celebrate you for showing up. I want you to remember that this is the season to understand your value. This is the season to pick up your broken pieces. This is the season to remember what it is that you wish you could be and become it. That you would close your eyes long enough to see it, but that you would open your eyes long enough to be it. You are the masterpiece. You are the vision that you have for yourself. And so it's time for you to turn your heartbeat into a soul beat in order to leave your soul print. Because the fingerprint, it tells us what we got wrong in this world. But the soul print, it tells us what we got right. And what God got right is you. And what you've been through is what makes you so right. And so I want you to understand that it is a relay race and somebody is relying on you. And so in order for us to be who we were called to be, we have to pick up those broken pieces so that we can begin to pour into one another instead of spilling all over the place. We lose our substance when we spill out, and we control the environment when we pour out. We are intentional and we are proactive and we are in action for our attraction. And so I love you guys. Remember, starting next week, we'll be at 12. But we're going to finish out this week at 7 p.m. I want you to remember that the world is a special piece that needs you. You can never turn on anybody else's light, but you can provide enough light for them to find their switch. So stay lit in this world so somebody can find their way out of the darkness. I love you guys. Take care of your lights. I'll see you guys tomorrow. And remember, become your magic. Abracadabra, abracadabra, abracadabra. See you guys tomorrow. Let me go finish dinner. It smells so good. I'm making turkey wings. Well, I am. That's my specialty. Night, night.